Alright guys, it's Scrappy again today. Hope you're doing good and enjoying your day so far. The new map set is officially getting played in Scrims over the last couple of days. Some big results potentially for this JurNii Temp team versus Atlanta FaZe, going the typical way these Scrims that tend to go, but also Shotzzy assassinating Drazah in one of the most embarrassing fashions that I've really seen so far. This is a phenomenal trolley assassination, and some people saying that the man who actually conducted it was somebody else in the league. Very much interested in your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. As discussed then, we've got to dive into this new map set because FaZe have played Temp's team. Now, look, whenever you play FaZe, if your challengers roster as Temp's team are Temp, Prolute, Capsule, and Flames, they did very well though. They won the most recent challengers side. So this kind of goes to show the levels that we are talking about here. FaZe, we mentioned them earlier today. Will they like this new map set? Will they dislike the new map set? They have lost some maps that they're pretty good at, and Subbase Hardpoint, for example, is still in the rotation. But they are playing the other maps that are smaller, more rivals in play, more SMG focused, and this is arguably why we are seeing stuff such as this. So, yeah, 250 to 119 on this Vista hardpoint. The 6-star was actually even worse. I mean, have a look at this. 250 to 95, get chucked in the 100-point club right here. Simp is 29 and 19, aBeZy's 27 and 17, with lots of hill time spread around all the different players. So, look, I imagine, well, maybe, I don't know, like, have the pro teams been playing these maps for longer than some of the challengers teams have? Maybe, but it's like when you scrim FaZe, this is just what happens most of the time, even if you're a very good team in the Pro League, and certainly if you're, JurNii, Temp and the boys. We even saw with his scrims at the start of the season, sometimes they would be getting slammed rather hard by the Atlanta FaZe. So just on this evidence, it's not much evidence, but it's evidence to show that, yeah, these new maps for FaZe, despite the fact that the changes of the map pool arguably favour OpTic and Toronto more so than they do to FaZe, they're probably going to be really good at these maps, and that makes a fair bit of sense. They did play the controls through as well. It's a shame to me that there hasn't been any change in the control map pool, but yeah, High Rise, FaZe 1-3-1, the Invasion, they 1-3-2, which is like, this to me is one of the reasons why it stayed in the map pool, is that, well done, you can win a couple of defenses against basically anybody, but it all comes down to who actually gets the defense on the round 5. For some reason, when it goes round 5, the chances of the offensive team winning seem to go up for some reason, but I don't know, maybe it's just because the defensive team just feels like, oh, we've got to win now, and then all of a sudden the offensive team somehow catches them off guard, but that doesn't look like it happened here. Temp was having a good time, it seems, on the right-hand side, and he dropped 34 for the loss. Flames had 14 here, which was pretty ugly, but look, you are playing FaZe, and even Cellium had 16. I mean, just to have a look at this real quick, the scoreboard, I thought it was kind of interesting, because Cellium has, I don't know, have you guys felt like he changed his playstyle somewhat? He definitely played in a slightly different way, I would say, during Major 2 than previously. He wasn't just getting a crazy amount of kills and then not really doing much. He does seem to be playing in a slightly different way now, because at Major 2, he was arguably their, like, worst performing player. And if that's the case for Cellium, you're in a very good position indeed. And it's no longer the case that Cell is having a 1.4, the rest of the team are negative and they're losing the series, right? That was kind of happening during Major 1, but that's not happening anymore. So whether that's just a natural evolution here, or whether FaZe have actually decided to change things around somewhat, because, yeah, Cell with only 16 kills, but, eventually a Game 5 victory here for FaZe, or a Round 5 victory. And then the Karachi was, 3-0 for FaZe, and someone rage quit here, I guess, Prolute. He called it a day. So this is like what you expect, but I wanted to mention it regardless. Now, there was also some big discussion on the Boston Bridge, because they have changed their roster quite significantly. Slasher is gone, lots of drama on that, as we talked about just yesterday. Asim is gone, Beans is coming in alongside Pentagram to the roster. Now, this guy Wood said, according to sources, Boston have had a 10-1 map count in their last game against the top 4 team. Now, I showed this yesterday, didn't really talk about it because I don't know, of course, if this is true or not. And the man himself says, yeah, I made this up basically for impressions, and fair play. But Ronnie says this actually, so from CDL Scremental, he actually said this on Reddit yesterday. Heard they've been doing pretty well, to be fair. I don't know if the 10-1 map count against a top 4 team is true, which apparently it's not, but they have been doing decent. Pentagram has been frying. So this is a question about this new Boston team. Regardless of the fact that I don't think the changes they have made were the best changes to make, I do think that some change was necessary, and given the results of the roster, anything was kind of justified. Would I have probably sided with the Slasher and Asim argument and made a change for Snoopy? That's probably what I would have done if I was, you know, the coaching staff and everything of the team, given what Slash had talked about, not knowing spawns, forgetting S&D strats, and various other reasons why Snoopy might not be cut out to be the player they need him to be right now. But for whatever reason, potentially Doug St. Martin involved or otherwise, they made the call to keep Snoopy, and therefore Sasha was gone, Asim was gone, and I guess Priestahh was, you know, maybe happy to stay. And also Priestahh is a very versatile player. He can potentially be on the SMG or the AR if that's required. Maybe Asim could have been in a similar boat. Maybe Asim was more anti-Snoopy than Priestahh was. I don't know. Speculate to your heart's content. But Beans coming in, I'd have liked to see a Beans Slasher AR duo. That's not going to be happening, it seems. Well, obviously not, because Slasher's been released entirely from the organization. But Pentagram getting his chance finally is pretty cool, right? Because he's been in a similar spot to, I wouldn't say Gwyn precisely, but like Gwyn last year on Surge. They really should have put him into the team, you know. I think Mac's a solid player, but in hindsight, you gotta think that putting Gwyn in for Mac is at least worth a try last year on Surge. And they just didn't do it. And this is what happened to Pentagram. He was stuck on the bench for a long time. To be fair, he was stuck on the bench of Thieves when they were like actually the good Thieves that were the World Championship winning team eventually in 2022. So it's understandable that he didn't get a shot at that time. But in hindsight, you got to think that, well, Penta might be a better player than he has got the chance to show. And finally, he's going to get a chance in the Pro League. And Pentagram made it very clear when he was signed that, like, yeah, finally here's my chance. And I'm going to do my absolute best to make the most of it. And my feeling is that as long as this new Boston team with JurNii coming on as the coach and Magic coming on as the coach and those guys, like, if they are more on the same page than they previously were, they should be better. There is some talent there, but it's like clearly there were major internal conflicts on that previous team. Are they going to be good enough? I don't think so. But should they be better? I think, I mean, it's tough to be worse, isn't it? I mean, they probably can get worse, but it would be difficult to be significantly worse. This, by the way, is their schedule for the Major 3 qualifiers. It is significantly easier than they previously had, so they should do better this time than they did previously, but, you know, it's never guaranteed. They play Heretics, Minnesota Rocket, Gorillas, so their first 3 games are definitely very achievable. Then it's OpTic, obviously that's tough. They play Toronto as well, but outside of that, like OpTic and Toronto, the only top 4 teams they play. They don't play FaZe, they don't play New York, they play Thieves and Vegas, which are difficult teams, but, you know, still, Boston could feel confident getting 3 to 4 wins here, which they should. That should secure them winners, and we'll see. If they can't do that, then, well, yeah, it's chalked, and they've made the wrong call, and I'm sure it's going to be an interesting storyline to keep your eyes on, but a couple of entertaining clips here to share. So there were some mates going down. Drazah was trying his absolute best to drag his team over the line here, but it just wasn't especially happening, and they played up against, so, well, a couple of the OpTic boys. Shotzzy was most certainly there, and this assassination was comedy. They've added some new assassinations into the game lately. I saw Octane did a pretty funny one. This one was hilarious, though, just because of people were saying that basically it's the Tiny Terror's assassination, right? And I'll share, you guys know what I mean.
Rank up. Fan for fan.
Hey, you
Try to push Snoopy.
Yeah, you made me.
I'm following you up.
I'm underground right now.
I'm with you.
Scrapp's here. Dylan's here weak. Dylan's underground weak. On their right side, right side. You're into the right.
All right.
That's right.
I just got the
Oh,
worst.
this
He's behind the AC.
Was it him?
Scrap is good. That's him.
1v1.
Playing Paul.
Oh, he spawned usually.
Oh
Good
my
job.
god.
I mean, seriously, this shit's so dumb. I'm done playing tournaments. This is so stupid.
Yo, Chovy there? Yo, one's mid hay.
Yo, Ant right there our spawn. Ant right there our spawn, I think.
Where?
In our bottom end, I think.
What's our
Is he? Yo, Brandon.
He's on that oil.
Yo, they're heli steps. They're heli steps, bro.
I'm looking at highlight steps.
He's assassinating me, our spawn.
Blow on me.
One's right window, back up to spawn.
Really?
Yeah, he just backed up mid windows. It was Jaws, I'm pretty sure. He's fucking Pelly. I don't know, I just died from. Not Pelly and they're left, right window. Their windows, their windows.
I should not have done that, dude.
Good check, one shot. Nice.
These windows.
Depths off and
Fucking go, baby.
Duo in fucking depths. Get the fuck out of there, boys. Let's fucking make a play at this map. Look, depths 1, depths fucking 2.
Yo, the dealer was good.
Chicken onion.
What the hell is that noise?
Whoa, yo!
What is that noise?
What is that? Bro, someone got 3D printed.
So this Shotzzy guy is an absolute menace, right? I love the way that he kind of found the gap and Drazah thought that he'd gone down low and he managed to finesse it, find the gap. And I mean, this is just hilarious. To watch it from Drazah's point of view and then from Shotzzy's point of view is great. And obviously Shotzzy says, damn, funny shouldn't have done that, you know, because, you know, he could have got this kill for free and then got away, probably got the second. But he did do it for the assassination just to, you know, put it on TikTok or whatever. People say TikToksy, don't they? But he's been playing very well, of course, the most recent stage. And eventually they win the round regardless, so he doesn't regret it too bad. But OpTic obviously versus FaZe is an interesting rivalry. We will see them play this stage, and this is the latest top 4 matchup kind of circle, or whatever you want to call it. When in previous seasons, we have sometimes seen that this kind of goes round in a circle, where one of the top teams has the number of another one, and then, you know, they're matchup dependent. We kind of see that to some degree here, but yet there is, of course, an outlier in this data. So, yeah, shout out to COD League Stats for putting this together again. But here we go. These are the top 4 matches around the circle. FaZe are 7-3 against the other teams. Every other top 4 team is negative against the other top 4 teams, largely because they, you know, FaZe have a good record against OpTic, pretty much is how it goes. But it's really interesting for OpTic, right? Because they're 2-0 against Toronto. Remember what was said after Major 1 in Boston when JP Krez said, yeah, we feel like we match up better against Toronto than we do against FaZe. And right now, that does seem to be the case, right? With a 2-0 record against Toronto, a 2-1 record against New York, but yeah, the elephant in the room, the 5-0 record against FaZe. Toronto are 2-1 against FaZe, New York are 1-1, 1-1 between these two, and against the other top 4 teams, New York are 3-4, Toronto are 3-4, OpTic are 4-6. But yeah, this number is the number that they need to change around. The question is, why is that the case? You know, why haven't they performed so far? We'll see over time if they can correct that, because when this happens between OpTic and FaZe the other way around, the talk was, oh, is it a mental block? Is it issues and stuff like that? And of course, it was discussed at some length whether that was the case or not. And maybe there is some truth to those kind of statements in the sense that the expectation can become reality. If you go into a series expecting to lose, not exactly expecting to lose, but just feeling like, well, we can't seem to beat these guys for whatever reason, almost that reality can sometimes manifest, if you know what I mean. So OpTic need to find a way and, you know, brainstorm, let's say, how they're going to beat FaZe. And if they could do so online in the very near future, I think it's, you know, only a couple of, I think it's the first game back, yeah, this weekend. OpTic play FaZe on the Sunday. So if they can beat FaZe then, that could be a key hurdle to get over. This also I thought was interesting. Toronto have won 82% of their hardpoints so far this year, which is the highest by far in the league. But to be fair, this number was like 95% not that long ago, and they lost quite a few as their tournament closed out. The second highest, though, is FaZe at 65%. So it does kind of show the difference there. But Paddy P's using this to say, oh, you know, how are they S tier? Because the flag put them in the S tier alongside FaZe, which I thought was very questionable. But he was getting roasted a bit in the replies because people were saying, well, you said that Shotzzy wasn't a superstar because he's only good at one mode or whatever. And yet you're saying that Toronto are S tier because they have one good mode type thing. So you know how it goes here on social media. X is going to rile people up, of course. But just an interesting stat to close out with, because Cellium is not on this list actually, but these are players that have had a 1.4 plus KD in at least 2 different grand finals. Some usual suspects on here: Scump, Formal, Kremp, Clay, you know, so pretty much the entire OpTic dynasty. No karma here, maybe understandably given his role on the team, but Clay's done it, Slash has done it, Skyz and Insight have done it as well. So of the kind of new gen players, these are the only 2 that are here. And these are the guys that have done it on one occasion, and of course need one more Grand Finals performance such as this to get to that exclusive list. And, you know, many of these guys are still competing. Simp, Shotzzy, Dashy, Kiers. But of course, you know, we know what's happened to ASSINATES. Bance, of course, seems to have stepped away. Octane's now retired. Zuma, Methods, Apathy. And, yeah, rest in peace. Mr. Ferro, very much intrigued your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.
I was just calling him shit, and I was just saying, like, mute me. So it was pretty funny.
Nice! 3v2. I'm playing
Yeah, he was talking shit in game chat, bro. That's insane.
You are toxic.
Obviously, the high-res control.
Hey, no, that's fucking insane, bro.